This episode of the podcast is brought to you by our friends at Regrow.
Hey, cannabis operators, got a couple questions for you. Are your SOPs tied directly to your cultivation plans? Can you easily manage your inventory and workforce and vendors from a single system? Can you manage compliance across multiple licenses and states? Do you have performance analytics to help you maximize your 24-month cultivation and manufacturing plans? If this is not the case, Regrow is there to help. They can help you maximize your yields and consistency. Think of Regrow as the single pane of glass view into your entire supply chain. They're available globally with native localization and foreign language support. So if you're a cannabis company searching for a strategic business partner to help you automate your business, scale effectively, and make the supply chain work for you, you can find Regrow at regrow.io. That's regrow.io. Regrow, the premier cloud-based cannabis supply chain management system. My man, Eddie Velez, what is going on?
What's up, Kevin? How you doing, man?
I'm doing well, man. I'm so glad that we're finally able to make this happen. I know that, you're so busy with Oak Cliff Cultivators and everything that you guys got going on with that. And we've been, seeing each other at various events in Dallas. And man, finally, we made it work. So thanks for coming on.
Oh, yeah, for sure, Kevin. I've been looking forward to it, man. Sorry, both of us being kind of crazy, but I'm glad to be here finally.
Totally. Yeah. No need to apologize at all. And, for those listening, I think it's important that they at least understand like how we were introduced and know each other. Right. So Eddie and I, not that we go back a long ways, but we go back at least to 2019, early 2020, right? When you were first starting. And yeah.
Oh, yeah, Kevin. That's right. Actually, you're one of the first guys I met in the industry. You and a partner you were rolling with at the time.
That's right.
Gene White. Met up at Bishop Arts. Yeah, that's right. Man, Kevin, I almost forgot about that, dude. That was a long time ago.
It was. And what's so cool about it is that we met at a restaurant that I love in Bishop Arts, which is the whole concept of Oak Cliff Cultivators. I mean, Bishop Arts is a street, is a kind of a neighborhood within Oak Cliff. So,
right.
And I got to tell you, Eddie, I love like how you're really making your brand local and really generating more awareness around the neighborhood and the history of Oak Cliff. So why don't you talk through, your upbringing in the area and what got you where you are today?
Yeah, Kevin. Yeah, for sure, man. Yeah. So me and my family, all my family, born and raised in Oak Cliff, man. From my mom down to my grandmother, we're all from Oak Cliff, so we're all still there. Actually, my wife's from Oak Cliff too, so born and raised and kind of grown up in Oak Cliff. We started at elementary school there and just kept on going. Sorry, this thing is kind of going nuts on me. So,
no worries, it's harvest season, man. I get it.
Yeah, man, it's nuts. But yeah, man, sorry about that. So me and my family are both from Oak Cliff, born and raised. My wife is from there too, and we actually just moved back to Oak Cliff. We've been gone for a couple of years. We've been down in Austin, and we just recently moved back to the neighborhood, man, right there by W.E. Griner, right there up 12th Street.
Hell yeah! But go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to give some background. So for those listening, Oak Cliff is a neighborhood that's just outside of downtown Dallas. And it's a really unique neighborhood. And I think from what I heard from some of the locals in the area at a bar or restaurant that I was at, they were saying that at the time, Oak Cliff was annexed from the city at one point. Was that right?
Yeah, it was annexed a long time ago, dude. Oak Cliff has grown over the past, I'd say probably grown over the past 20 years, but at least the past 10 years, it's kind of just, exponentially just growing out of control. It's kind of morphing into little Bishop Arts district, which you're familiar with over there. But the area where I'm from, man, it's right there by Griner, right there by Sunset. All my family's right there. Just kind of grew up in the neighborhood, man. Grew up with all the Oak Cliffians. I like to call them the cliff dwellers. so we're all over there.
Awesome.
But that's the whole reason we named Oak Cliff Cultivators that name, because we wanted to represent our community, man. Because where we came from, man. Growing up in Oak Cliff in the 90s at that time was kind of a little rough, man, compared to what it is now. Definitely, going through that gentrification right now. But back then, it was a little tough, man. So we just wanted to represent the community. A lot of folks we grew up with that time were kind of either, you get caught up in that street life, man, or some go to jail, you do other things. And we want to show people that you can do things the right way. And that's why we kind of named it Oak Cliff, to represent where we come from.
Yeah, and I can totally see the neighborhood and, customers of Oak Cliff Cultivators really gravitate to that message and that rally, right? It's like you're
Right.
celebrating your upbringing in a way that is beautiful because it's through hemp, right? And it's through a product that can be very therapeutic and improve people's lives on a daily basis. And you mentioned the gentrification, which I'm definitely used to at this point, living in the area for almost 2 years now.
Yeah.
What was it like? I mean, let's dive a little deeper into that. I know it's predominantly Latino, and
Yeah.
that's same kind of background that I was upbringing, right? I grew up in New Mexico, small town right outside of Albuquerque that was predominantly, what was it, 70% Latino.
Yeah.
So what was it like, and what was the cannabis culture like at the time?
Oh man, the cannabis culture was on fire back then. So I went to Sunset High School. It's right there in the middle of Oak Cliff, right there off of Jefferson. I graduated in 1998. And a lot of folks that we're growing up with, man, there was 99% Hispanics in my school. So I just knew that culture, growing up with low rider car shows, going to, hip hops, concerts, low rider car shows, all that type of stuff, man. Just grew up doing all that, having cruising. I don't know if you're familiar, on Jefferson Street on Sunday nights in Oak Cliff, they got cruise nights. Back then, it was on Clarendon and Hampton. They used to block out the whole entire Hampton and Clarendon streets for cruise nights, man. It was a mess back then.
What?
But that's kind of how we grew up, man. And then after the cruise nights, you go to Yellow Belly and you go do some drag racing. So it was good times back then, man.
Yeah, I'm familiar with the lowrider car shows every Sunday for sure. I mean, Jefferson is only a couple blocks down from where my wife and I live, and I took my dad one time. Short, Hispanic guys fired up, and he was just posing with every picture. Take a picture of me of this one. So right. he was really getting into the culture, man. But it's awesome. And
oh yeah, man.
When you think about, at least from my perspective, growing up as a Latino male and experimenting with cannabis at an early age, man, there's something about the Latino culture in the stigma of cannabis compared to, say, something that's alcohol, right? And it's more prevalent. Like, there's not as much stigma, It seems like.
No, man. For me, I learned about marijuana, cannabis very young, at a young age, man. When I was, I don't know, maybe 10, 11 years old, my father got caught, with at the time marijuana distribution, and was locked up. So from that point on, my mom was a hound dog for any kind of smell of cannabis in the house. That was you breaking the law, you're sinning. It was like totally against house rules, man. So growing up, I kind of stayed away from it for a long time just because I didn't want to catch that chocolate from my mom, it didn't come flying across the room, dude.
Those shoes come by fast, don't they?
Oh yeah, dude. You don't even see it coming, dude, at all.
So that was a little deterrent. Yeah, go ahead, keep going.
Yeah, it was a deterrent, man, and for a long time, but all my friends were still doing it. Everybody's kind of partaking in the cannabis stuff. It was all around us, everywhere we went. It just, like you said, alcohol was part of the environment where we hang out now. Back then, it was the same thing. Cannabis was just part of everyday life.
Right. Among like your peers, right? Like among the younger crowd, it was like nothing. But then, of course, with the parents, because of those blurred lines of cannabis being listed as a Schedule I and just kind of the misinformation or non-education at the time, it's just like, hey, that's bad. Don't touch it. What are you doing? Right. You're a marijuano is how they would phrase it.
Oh yeah, man. It really hit home for us when my dad got locked up. So it just really, at that point in my life, made a choice. Like, this is what I do not want to do. Like, I need to get out of here, join the service, follow some of my uncle's footsteps. So from that point on, when my dad got locked up, it kind of changed my whole trajectory in my life, man. So it was a good change, though. A good change.
I believe it. Yeah, yeah. I mean, you need that structure, especially as a young man or woman, right? So
Yeah,
what was the switch, Eddie? I mean, like, and I asked because, and we'll get into this later, but I
yeah,
follow your social media. You guys are super family oriented in your business
for
model,
sure.
and you even got your kids out there helping with like harvest, and I can see that you're
Right,
educating them. So when did that switch happen, and what caused that switch?
man. So I, you know, after graduating high school, went to the Marine Corps. When I got out, I didn't really smoke or do anything until like I was really older, man. I was late just because of all that. But what I've seen, what people were doing, that just to smoke, just to get high or whatever, they were smoking for a need. There was a need. They were smoking. Either they had anxiety or something was wrong with them that I had to calm down or keep them calm. And I've seen that evolution as it was changing, and it just really caught my attention, and just it's something I always wanted to be part of it. It just, now that the stigmas were kind of going away, I wanted to dive in there and really drive home that it can be used for good benefits, and your family could be involved in a legal way.
Right. And I mean,
Yeah.
was that feedback or that realization of how hemp and cannabis can be used for therapeutic reasons or even for medicine for some people, was that from, veterans that you served with in the Marine Corps, or was this regular civilians, both?
Yeah, man. So one of my best friends, he was in the Marine Corps too, and when he got out, he did a couple tours in in Fallujah. When he came back, man, he there was a one thing that will help him: cannabis. It really calmed him down. It kind of helped him decompress. But it can help you, man. It can take those anxieties off you and kind of give you a sense of relief. And I saw that happening, and then I was like, man, there's nothing wrong with this product at all. Zero. So from that point on, man, I've been full blown all in cannabis.
That's awesome. And that had to have
Yeah.
been, I guess, well, I guess prior to 2019. 2019 was the year that you actually took action and launched Oak Cliff Cultivators. Is that right?
Yeah, 2019. Yeah. So I
2019.
was talking to you like in the early 2000s, 02, 04 time
Oh,
frame.
shoot.
So
Okay, so I jumped way ahead. So then, yeah, let's
yeah,
talk
yeah,
about the
yeah.
evolution from there. Sorry about that.
Yeah, yeah, it's all good. No, man. So and again, we started the Oak Cliff company in 2019. We saw at the time I was working for FEMA, the Federal Emergency Management Agency, and when I seen the bill about to pass, I told my wife about it, and we kind of just went all in. I quit my job, cashed out my thrift savings plan, which is our federal retirement. She quit her job in education, and we just kind of went all into it. I talked to my mom about it. I was like, "Hey, mom, I'm gonna do something." And she's like, "What, mijo?" I said, "You won't believe it, but I think I want to get into cannabis and grow cannabis." And she didn't want to. She didn't want to hear it, man, at all, dude. So after I kind of broke it to her, kind of explained to her like what it is and what we're trying to accomplish, I finally got her buy-in. And now she's over here. She comes out here to help us trim. She packages for us, so she's part of the process.
That's so awesome. And the beauty, I would think, in your line of work, being in Texas, a hemp forward company, is the education that you can give to your mom who's an older person who,
Right.
doesn't understand. Like most of the older generation will correlate THC getting high with hemp products, right? So
Right.
I'm
Right.
sure that provided a great opportunity for you to be like, hey, mom, well, if you have
Yeah.
aches or ailments, rub this
Yeah.
on or take this tincture. I mean, yeah, that's so great that
Yeah, man, and that's one of the one of our products, because my mom, she's a seamstress by trade, right? Man, I grew up. My mom's always sewing, dude, making all kinds of dresses. You can hear that sewing machine going full throttle all night long, dude. And so she's always sewing, and she gets some pains in her hands. So we created the salve for that, and that's one of the products because of that, and she uses it, and it helps her, and she loves it, man. It's kind of, tell her this, 20 years ago, that would never happen.
right. Yeah, I've gone through the same evolution with my parents too. I mean, there was a point where I was like kicked out of the house because I had come home from college and I went outside to smoke, and
Yeah.
fast forward now, and that's no fault on them. I mean, of course, we've been taught, something so different for so long. And fast
Oh,
forward, I
for
mean,
sure.
now New Mexico is legal and you've got my dad and I, consuming outside together before dinner, which is so awesome,
That's nuts. That's it's awesome and nuts at the same time. I'm like, this is really happening now. It's almost it's a nice change, man. It's really nice to see people embrace it, and I'm loving it.
It is. I totally agree. And it's a good change because we've had a lot of years of alcohol prevalence, right? And other
Right.
drug prevalence. It's nice to see human beings in a different capacity, using cannabis, which makes you,
Yeah,
for the most part, or most people, be very relaxed, less anxiety, less stressed.
for
Um,
sure.
so yeah, it's brought a lot of good out from my dad for sure that I've noticed. I want to get back to your journey, Eddie, and I want to talk about the switch, right? 2019, you said the bill had just passed. I think you
Yeah.
were indicating the Farm Bill of 2018, right?
Yeah. Correct. Yeah.
So like that's a big leap, and you not having prior experience, and I don't know your cultivation background or your grow background, right? But from what I've heard, because I don't know much about it, I only know from guests that I've had on, growing cannabis is not easy, right? Or even hemp. So
It's not, dude. Yeah. Man, dude. Until then, 2019, I could not keep any kind of plant alive. My mom would give me an aloe vera plant in a foil. I don't know if you remember them doing that, but I can't keep nothing alive, dude. So, but I wanted to learn it, man. I had to learn it. So I actually went out and, I met a couple people and I went out to like North Carolina. Then I went to Colorado just to learn and immerse myself into somebody's operation and just to get that knowledge, man. And I just brought that back with me and just started my own thing. But no growing experience whatsoever prior to 2019. Matter of fact, I never ran a business before, so I was always a federal employee, man. I'm used to taking orders from somebody, but now I'm over here trying to run a business. So it was a learning curve like this.
well, I got to tell you, man, bravo, because you fooled me. I had no idea that, that I knew your background, but I didn't realize you had no like business owner experience or like, I mean, you guys like literally are one of the leaders in Texas in hemp, right? And just the whole
Appreciate that.
way y'all present yourself and the way you go about it is so professional. So that's just so surprising to me. But um, it's it's another just interesting factoid about Eddie. And to that point, I'm curious. So when you first entered, as we know, and as I've learned, over the years of doing this podcast, that the legacy cannabis community is very tight knit, right? And as they
Right,
should be, because they've been around for a while, they've had to deal with a lot of shit, right?
right.
Having said that, there is somewhat hesitance or resistance, not I don't know if that's the right word, maybe just caution when it comes to new entrants in the industry, right? Whether it be
Right.
the suits or just new cultivators.
Yeah.
So did
Yeah.
you get any of that at first? I mean, I'm sure now that's not an issue because you proved your worth and your value, but what was it like first starting?
Man, it was intimidating, dude. I mean, completely intimidating. I call it street to suits, man. You got a lot of street folks trying to go suits, street to suits. Some people can't drop the street, man. They really can't. But that's one thing that I went to the federal government, so I went from Oak Cliff, Marine Corps College, and federal government. So I kind of got institutionalized a little bit with just general government practices. So I kind of had that structure. I know how to follow instructions. I could execute something with something in front of me.
Sure.
So I got follow through on that. So I think when I met these new people in the industry, they knew I tell them my background, what I used to do in FEMA and things like that. I got some buy-in. They're like, oh, well, he could follow some orders, he could follow directions to let's see if he can grow. So I got, I'll tell you what, man, I cannot grow without asking questions. I ask questions all the damn time. I ask stupid questions, but that's the only way I learn. And that's what helped us, improve our growing process, our methods along the way. And it's really benefited us since I asked those dumb questions. It really helped us out.
Hey, there are no dumb questions, right? Don't people say that? So
Yeah. Oh
especially
yeah.
when
No
you're
such thing
new.
as dumb question.
Right,
Oh
right.
yeah. But no, man, the group is intimidating, but it's a once you're in there, man, the group is awesome. It's almost like family. Like I'll see you at an event, I'll see Jesse somewhere, I'll see Jake from Drops Alive somewhere, Aaron. It's just that nucleus, man. It's really tight. You can't grow in Texas without knowing another farmer.
That's so true. Yeah, yeah. The hemp community within Texas is so close and just comprised of great people. I mean, you mentioned Jesse Kearns from New Bloom Labs. In fact, I play golf with that guy every weekend. Aubrey
Hey, y'all
Elliott.
playing up there in Oak Cliff still?
Yeah,
At
yeah. We
Stevens
play
Park?
we play at Stevens Park, man. That's our home course. And God, that course is so awesome. Been around since the 1920s. They still
Oh
have
yeah, man.
they still have the square rectangular greens from the back in the
And
day.
I
It's
grew up
awesome.
right in front of that golf course, man. I know exactly about. I know what you're talking about,
Wow. Well, do you play next time you're in town? We're gonna have to get you out there.
dude. I don't. I'll go out there and hang out with y'all and drink a beer. That's about it. I'll drive that go kart for y'all.
Yes, come out and smoke and drink some beers with us. It'll be fun.
Yeah.
So let's
But
let's talk about Oak Cliff Cultivators, Eddie. So tell us a little bit about the progress that y'all have made in the state of Texas, the challenges and hurdles that you're seeing as a business operator, and we'll kind of dive into that from there.
yeah, man. So challenges for Oak Cliff, man. Everything was a challenge. Just from just filling out the application to start an LLC, man. Just learning how to do that to creating doing a complete build out. We're at a family farm here, and we're about 3.5 hours west of Dallas in a town called Brownwood. So it's a hunting land. It's all cedars, and so we had to knock down trees. We really built everything from ground up. We built our greenhouses ourselves, our dry houses, our irrigation system. We brought power, electricity. So we're building all that at the same time as we're building the background of the business, the websites, the business name, the logo, the branding, all that type of stuff. So all that was, and we were growing at the same time too. So all that was happening, man. 2020 was nuts. So, but we made it through it. I mean, we felt a lot, but I think at the end, I think we did pretty good.
You're always going to fail as a business owner. That's what makes you better. I mean,
Yeah,
there's no entrepreneur that's never not seen failure in their journey.
yeah,
And
yeah,
that's great. And
for
it's
sure.
really impressive to hear you talk about how you had all the foundational pillars working, in play, like all in conjunction, anticipating that launch. Like most people or most business owners, right? Like they do it differently. And there's not to say one's right or one's not,
Sure,
but some
right.
people lead with their brand first because they don't have the product yet, or some people are working on their infrastructure to produce the product, and then they think about the branding later. I mean, you guys started with everything right away, and that was something that I was really, really impressed with as a marketer of 10 plus years, is just
Yeah,
your branding, and the fact that you guys reinforce the message that you're putting out there.
yeah, man. We changed our name. The first name that we had was called Brothers in Hemp, and we named it Brothers in Hemp because I was trying to represent the veteran community inside cannabis, right? But I come to find out it's bigger than that. It's bigger than the veteran side of it. So we changed it to Oak Cliff because we had to represent the community because there's so many people that love Oak Cliff, man. We had to represent that, dude. So that was change number one, right? Change number two was we had no intention of creating products. We thought we were going to sell wholesale pounds to retail stores, but a farmer can't survive like that. So we had to adjust and create packaging, do products, and do it like that. So it was one change after another, but we didn't have the background in we weren't educated business folks. We were kind of paying for our education as we're running the business itself.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's a good investment because you had good coaches or, support systems in place to get you better position for the future. You weren't
Right.
you weren't having to start from a certain area and kind of play backtrack. So that seems like a really smooth rollout. Talk to me about that learning curve. I know that we're gonna go back to that, but I'm fascinated with how you traveled to different states to learn the growing process. I mean, when did you feel ready? Like, okay, here we go. I'm gonna do
Man,
this.
yeah, dude. So I spent about 15 years in emergency management. So I was always traveling, dude, away from my kids, my wife, everybody. So I was always gone on the road. I got tired of it. I mean, I was missing years on my kids. So I wanted to change things up. So when I started feeling like that, I was looking for opportunities, man. And when I saw the cannabis, I just kind of jumped on it. And I met somebody. He introduced me to two other farmers in different states. And so I asked if I could go to those states and just, hey, can I go? I'll work. I'm not scared to work. I'll go out there and learn. And sure enough, man, I went to North Carolina. The farmer, it was Down South Hemp in North Carolina. The owner, his name is Denny, and he's a third generation tobacco farmer. Converted his farm into a hemp farm, hundreds of acres. You already had the whole setup for tobacco, greenhouses. He had dry barns, and so I got to go watch the whole process, man. And he had an outdoor crop, and they got these big school buses. They take immigrants, right? They load up the immigrants because they're the ones doing the work out there. All the farmers, all the immigrants are doing the work, their hard work. I got in the bus with them, man. They drop you off and you knock down a whole acre, dude. So we out there cutting plants, stowing in these back trailers and just kind of inching along for a whole acre, dude. It was a lot of work.
So you actually worked with the Mexican workers. Like you jumped on that bus. I thought at first when you said that, I thought you were just like observing with a clipboard.
Oh no, dude.
Around.
Hell no, dude. I was out there sweating, dude.
Oh shit.
We went out there in this bus and we did the work, man.
I guess that's the best way to learn, right? Get your hands dirty, roll up your sleeves and feel it, immerse yourself firsthand.
Oh yeah, and they bust your chops too, because I don't speak any Spanish. I can understand what they're saying, but I can't communicate it's Spanglish when it comes out my mouth.
Un poquito.
Oh, barely, dude. But everybody out there, everybody's got jokes of busting your chops because you're the new person there, and I don't speak no Spanish at all, kind of making fun of me. But I was like, what the hell, man? I'm here, I'm doing it, let's do it. So.
Good for you, man. Shit. That just speaks to, I think, your character, Eddie. And that is like, you're not scared of a challenge, and you're going to do things the right way to learn the craft to produce a great high quality end product, and
right.
That's commendable in this industry, man. Cause there are a lot of people that jump in for the quick buck or, sell the snake oil or the products that aren't safe and could be harmful to consumers. And it's good to see that that's kind of, I guess, kind of subsiding and weeding out. Are you seeing that more and more of like the real players that are in it to win it are staying in the game? And are you seeing others kind of exit, or is it still kind of saturated?
Yeah, it's unfortunate, man. I see some people fall off, when we first came in here, people were kind of going big, dude. I was told from the very beginning, go small, go smart. So I went small and smart, dude. I got just 2 greenhouses, very small operation. I think it's a small operation. It's manageable. I can manage it with the people we got in our family or our friends, and it works. And it's still working, but we've been gradually growing with it, not kind of growing before it's in place. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, no, that's definitely the smart move. I mean, especially in cannabis, just because of the upfront capital that it takes to start, especially if you're cultivating and actually manufacturing and producing the product. But in any business, right? As an owner, I think it's very wise to start slow. I mean, don't try to bite off the entire pie or the whole piece when you need to kind of establish your core competency and then kind of build off of that.
Yeah, you're right. Core competencies, man. And did you used to work for the government? How do you know about core competencies?
My dad did for 35 years.
Did he?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Yeah, no, man. That's very true, man. Those core competencies, man. Once you got them, learning them takes a minute. But once you got those established, you just got to just follow your plan, keep executing that. But that's what we kind of did. Luckily, Martha, my wife, you met Martha several times.
She's a saint.
Martha,
yeah, she's awesome.
She's the linchpin to our organization, man. She spent 16 years in education. She was an assistant principal, and we started another franchise at the same time. As we own a travel business, but it wasn't taking off as fast because of COVID. And we kind of just focused on Oak Cliff a little while, and she just helped us get organized. I mean, she kept us organized as far as where we're going, making sure, tasks don't fall off to the side. But without her, man, we could not move Oak Cliff forward. So she's done a tremendous amount of work for our team.
Yeah, I could definitely see that, like her being such a huge asset to the brand and to the company. I've met Martha. She's a great woman, super nice, and super
Yeah.
sharp. Like you said, those administrators, they really know
Yeah.
what they're doing. They're very organized. And speaking of your wife, I want to bring it more broadly to the family now, and we talked,
Yeah.
I think, at the beginning of how you have young kids and how they're involved in the business in terms of what's happening in harvest time. So talk to us about your approach with your kids and the education factor, running a hemp business in the state of Texas.
Sure, man. We didn't know how to treat it, me and Martha, how to treat it with our kids at first, because we didn't know if they were told their friends at school, then their friends tell their teacher, and the teachers are like, "Oh man, they're drug dealers, they're growing weed or something,"
Right.
So we really truly had to educate them on what hemp is. So they only know cannabis as hemp because mom and dad grow hemp, and so we bring them along the process. They watch us as we were learning about it. They watch us. My son helps me when we do our marketing or any kind of assets for marketing. My son's right there. He's riding shotgun with me on developing graphics. We're posting on Instagram. So he's learning that aspect of it.
That's awesome.
Esme's out there helping us transplant, my daughter, and Martha does all our sales and education, and she does our events planning. So when we come out to harvest, the whole family's here. We're all pitching in, cutting down plants. We're trimming, we're hanging. There's an assembly line, and the kids are part of that assembly line because they need to understand how it works, So we're teaching them hard work, good work ethic and good follow through, and just understanding what hemp is, and hopefully they might improve it in the future, man, for us, for all of us,
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's so ironic, right? Where we've come 100 years of prohibition. You've got this stigma and this demonization of this plant for so many years, and when I hear you talk about how it can be a family type of, effort come harvest season, where you've got your aunts, your uncles, your cousins, you've got your own kids that are lending a hand, and it's hard, honest work. I mean, it teaches such great character building and different traits that you wouldn't get from sitting inside staring at a screen or playing video games, right? I mean,
no.
So that's got to be great to cherish and share with your family. It's awesome.
Kevin, it is, Kevin. And the first time we let my son Ethan, he wore our Oak Cliff shirt, and got the leaf on it, man.
I got mine on right now. Look.
Look at that, represent, dude. So he was matter of fact, he has a black shirt. So when he wore that shirt the first time, I can't tell you how many heads he turned, right? And we felt that look, like, how you letting that kid wear that shirt, But we want people to ask us because it's an opportunity for us to educate them about it. We want to be on your face, but at the same time, we want to show you that it's like anything other product out there in the grocery store, anywhere you go. But it's just more healthy for your body than anything else.
Yeah. You know what, man? I have that same mindset, and I love that you think that way. Like,
yeah.
You want to be upfront. You want to be bold about it. You don't want to be in their face and push anything on them, but you want to spark conversation to then educate, right? Like, and it's funny that you bring up that story with your son, because I actually wore this shirt like a couple of weeks ago during one of my work calls. And I don't even think about it anymore, man. Like I have a ton of these cannabis and hemp shirts from different guests I've had on. And this is one of my favorite, the Oak Cliff one. And like you said, it has this very, like big, like your logo, which it has the hemp flower, the leaf on it. And when I was talking to my coworkers, I was like, oh shit, I'm wearing this shirt. But no one brought anything up, obviously, because it's a call, but I didn't care because they all know that I have a podcast. And like to your point, if it gets brought up, then it's just an opportunity to educate. And that's
Yeah.
exactly what the world needs right now.
Yeah, we always look for opportunities to educate, man. That's one of the things we really focus on is educating and breaking down stigmas. And if there's any kind of opportunity, whether it be wearing a shirt or a hat or just even bring it up in a conversation, Martha and I, our whole team, we do the same thing.
Yeah. What has the like response been to people that you have tried to educate, like say in a situation where you're wearing a shirt that has a weed leaf or what have you? And I ask because we're in the state of Texas, right? Where
Yeah.
prohibition is alive and real.
Yeah. They ask you the common question I get. So there's a marijuana facility. They call it marijuana, right? There's a marijuana facility in Oak Cliff. First question I get, like, no, it's not marijuana. It's cannabis or hemp, right? And explain what it is. But most of the time, they automatically think you're selling something that's illegal. So
Right.
automatic, and then it gives us opportunity to explain hemp, talk about the hemp bill, 0.3 THC, this what it's CBD, CBG. I mean, it's perfect opportunity to explain things.
Totally. Yeah. That's awesome, man. I'm glad that you guys lead with education and awareness because I think that that's a miss for some brands if they're not doing that because we still have a ways to go in that area, you know.
We
Um
do, man. We do. And one of the things we get involved, community involvement. We're all about the way we grew up, man. We want to give back, so we try and find opportunities to either collaborate with our community. We partner up with a lot of folks in Oak Cliff all the time, or we can contribute to like a nonprofit that has a real action. So we try to get that community engagement all the time, not just because we not just because to do it, because it's something that we're passionate about and we really care about doing.
Yeah, and I know that you're not lying when you say that because I've seen you in Bishop Arts at various events. I mean, there was food trucks one time. Y'all
Yeah.
were there with your flower and your products and merch and just meeting the community and educating, talking about your products, talking about what you guys are working on. And I could tell that there's a lot of interest because it's just so new, right? Again, going back to that logo and seeing that weed leaf, people just get curious and I think it's just so good. What do you envision for the future with Oak Cliff Cultivators? I mean, you started this because you saw an
Mhm.
opportunity and you really positioned yourself to be educated and knowledgeable in the space so that you could thrive, right? So now
Right.
that we're seeing traction, you're seeing traction with Oak Cliff and you're starting to really build some brand recognition and some loyalty in this state. Where do you see the future going?
Man, I think two things. One, again, on the education and community involvement, you're going to see us leaning more deeper into community involvement, either be there supporting fossils for people who need shoes for kids, to collaborating with people like Texas Cannabis Collective with Austin, helping them do things.
Mm-hmm.
And number two, we want to build. We're doing really good with our brand awareness, but we want to become, we're really known very well in North Texas, but we want to make that state more regional for us. I think we did pretty good at the local level within our community. We're starting to expand out a little bit more. We're trying to get into the Austin area. We're in Houston. We're in a couple stores in West Texas, but we want to get more regional, almost kind of become a household name for you with the Oak Cliff brand. That's where we see Oak Cliff going.
Yeah. I mean, that seems like it's a natural progression in the evolution of the Oak Cliff Cultivator brand, right? It's you start
Right.
locally, people start to build up that affinity and that loyalty, and then you could, from there it just becomes more of a state recognized brand. My next question for you is because the hemp industry has no restrictions when it comes to selling across state lines or interstate commerce. I mean, is that
Mm-hmm.
another opportunity that you see? I mean, do you guys sell online now?
Yeah.
And is it something you're interested in?
Yeah. So we don't have a storefront. We don't have a brick and mortar at this time, but we do have an online presence. So we've shipped from California to Oregon to Long Island. So we've shipped all over the United States for sure.
Wow.
And when we first did that, I was like, man, I told my wife, I said we got orders coming from Long Island. We got an order coming from Chicago. We got an order coming from Klamath Falls, Oregon. I'm like, what's going on here? So it was cool to see that slow progression. And when it was happening, it was just kind of unbelievable for us. You know, like this is happening here. So it was pretty cool, you know.
You got to like track, okay, like where were we? What event were we last, or what marketing campaign did we run where we may have touched those people in those areas, right? Like,
yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Well, that's exciting, man. I mean, it sounds like you guys have really, I mean, not sounds like, I know firsthand the progress that you've made in the state of Texas, with, you know, not only awareness around your brand, Oak Cliff Cultivators, but just again, the education factor and removing the stigma, which I think is just something that this state, and not only the state, but the nation needs, you know.
Right.
And I want to leave you with final thoughts, Eddie. I mean, what's top of mind? What do you want to leave the audience with before we wrap up?
Well, we got 2023 around the corner, and we're going to be in session next year. So we got a lot of opportunity to either expand cannabis in Texas, you know, figure out, talk to your local representatives on, you know, where the position is on cannabis, and voice how you feel about it. If you wanted to make it legalized or increase our current, you know, program within Texas Hemp, or increase the medical side of it, I think that's something that we all need to do. We all need to get out there. We all need to get involved, talk to your local jurisdictions, and see how you can contribute to the cannabis movement in Texas. I think all of us should be doing our part here in the state.
Yeah, that's such good advice. I mean, really, the needle's not going to move without, you know, the people actually voicing what they want to the elected officials, who then can make it happen. And if, you know, with lots of things going on, we live in 2022 now, right? Post pandemic era, where there's a lot of different issues happening very fast at a lot of different times. So the more and more that we can voice and call these officials and tell them, voice the concerns, that's really what's going to happen. So, and I can't believe that the legislative session is already next year. It seems like we just talked about that, man. It's crazy.
Dude, we're 6 months away, man. A lot of things, you know. It's we're at one of those points where we need to start making things happen a little bit more, or build upon what we already got. You know, I think it's time for that.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more, Eddie. Well, my friend, I really appreciate you coming on, man. This has been so much fun. I really I enjoyed learning more about your background. I didn't know a lot of those details before, and it just paints the overall picture of you and just the great human being that you are, Eddie, and your family, man. I really enjoy seeing you guys out at the local events. And now that you said that you're going to ramp up more events in the coming year and really that community engagement, I'm looking forward to seeing you out there, man.
Man, we look for you at the Taste of Oak Cliff, man. You heard about that one? Don't forget to go to that one.
I've heard of it. Yeah. When is that?
It's August 15 or 16. Don't quote me on the dates, but in that time frame.
In the August time frame. Okay. Well, I'm gonna get with my golf buddy Jesse Kearns. Shout out to Jesse, because he's everywhere. So maybe I'll hitch a ride with him.
Yeah, come on out, dude.
Awesome. Hey, Eddie, where can people find y'all's website, social media, any stuff where they want to learn more about Oak Cliff Cultivators and potentially get in touch with y'all?
Yeah, so if you want to find any badass Texas hemp products, go to oakcliffcultivators.com. You can go to our website. You can shop there. We got our Instagram as well, Oak Cliff Cultivators. You can find us on Facebook. It's OC Cultivators, and also on LinkedIn, same name, and YouTube on Oak Cliff Cultivators as well. And if you've ever needed to reach out to us and talk to us email, you can email at info@oakcliffcultivators.com.
He's not lying, people. These are badass Texas hemp products. I've tried them firsthand. Big fan of Oak Cliff Cultivators. Keep up the great work, guys. Really appreciate you coming on, Eddie.
Thanks for your time, Kevin. Good to talk to you.
Absolutely. Yes. And thank you all for listening. Bye.